Hey, I'm Axel, and this is a favorite of mine. It's the DJ of the mind. Rather than explain it to you, I've explained it to Notebook LM, and they're going to talk about it.
Ever notice how, like, 1 minute you're having a totally normal day, and then suddenly, bam, some random thing brings back this awful memory, and then it's like you're right back there, reliving that super embarrassing moment or that thing you totally regret. Like, why does our brain do that? Why does it feel like all the bad memories are just like on repeat? Well, today we're going to try to figure that out. We're doing a deep dive into those not so fun memories and why some memories seem to stick around way longer than others. And get this, we're actually going to be using some of your experiences to help guide our conversation today. It's like our brains have this internal DJ, but instead of, playing our favorite throwbacks, it just keeps playing the same kind of depressing song on repeat.
It's funny you should mention that, because the DJ analogy really highlights how so many of us experience memories. It's like they're being presented to us on this sort of playlist. And yeah, it's true. It doesn't always feel like a greatest hits compilation, does it? Sometimes it feels like our brain is intentionally picking out the worst possible tracks. But here's the thing. Our brains aren't just randomly pulling these memories out of thin air. There's a reason. In cognitive science, we call this functional memory.
Functional memory. So you're saying our memories actually serve a purpose. They aren't just there to make us feel all nostalgic or totally mortified.
You got it. Memories actually do a lot more than just let us reminisce about the past. They help us make sense of the present and even navigate future situations by drawing on those past experiences. Think about it for a sec. Remember that time you accidentally called your boss Mom? Your brain definitely filed that one away under things to never do again.
Yeah.
Right? It's basically your brain's way of saying, okay, let's not make that mistake again.
So it's like our brain has this built-in system for protecting us from making the same mistakes twice. You even mentioned that it sometimes feels like your brain is trying to get your attention with some of these negative memories. Like it's waving a big red flag and saying, hey, pay attention to this.
Right.
Do you really think these memories are trying to tell us something specific?
That's a really interesting question. And honestly, it's something worth thinking about. Let me give you an example. Let's say you got food poisoning from a certain restaurant a while back. Even years later, just the thought of that place might still make you feel a little queasy, right? That's your brain trying to protect you, even after all this time. It's associating that place with a negative experience to keep you safe.
Wow. It's like having a built-in warning system.
Exactly. But as you pointed out, there can be a downside to this. Sometimes we get stuck in this loop of replaying negative memories over and over again without actually getting anything useful out of them. So that brings up another question. How can we tell the difference between memories that are actually trying to tell us something helpful versus the ones that are really just holding us back?
That's a really good question. How do we figure out what our brains are trying to tell us with these memories? Makes me think about something else you mentioned earlier. You talked about how even though those negative memories always seem to be right there on the surface, the good ones, the positive memories, they can be kind of hard to access sometimes. Why do you think that is?
It really is interesting, isn't it? You've hit on something kind of paradoxical. You mentioned that maybe it has something to do with wanting to repeat positive actions, and that's a really insightful point. Like, if something good happened, shouldn't we want to remember it clearly so we can do it again?
Yeah, exactly. It's like saying, hey, brain, remember that awesome feeling you had when you totally nailed that presentation? Let's relive that for a sec and figure out how to make it happen again. But then again, you also mentioned that you're someone who's always looking ahead to the next thing. You don't spend too much time dwelling on past successes. Could that tendency to focus on what's next be affecting how well you remember those positive experiences?
That's a really astute observation. And it actually ties into the idea of reinforcement learning in psychology. Our brains are kind of hardwired to seek out rewards and avoid punishments. Think of pleasant memories as those little internal rewards. They reinforce the actions that led to those good feelings, which makes us more likely to do those things again in the future. But here's the thing. If we don't really take the time to savor those positive moments, to let them really sink in, their impact can actually fade over time.
Oh, wow. I've never thought about it like that before.
It's like listening to your favorite song over and over and over again. Eventually, even the catchiest tune can start to lose its magic if it's overplayed.
Okay, that's a perfect analogy. So you're saying it's possible that our brains are always looking for something new and exciting, so they might actually start to gloss over those positive memories if they become too familiar?
That's exactly right. Our brains thrive on new information and new experiences. It's in our nature to focus on potential threats or things we need to work on. But taking the time to consciously revisit and appreciate those positive memories can actually strengthen those neural pathways. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So it's not enough to just kind of let those positive memories wash over us. We have to actively engage with them. Like, we're hitting the save button so we can access them more easily later on.
Now you've got it.
It's like we're creating our own mental photo albums filled with all those feel-good memories.
Exactly. You wouldn't just take a bunch of amazing vacation photos and then shove them in a drawer somewhere, would you? You'd want to put them in an album, maybe even label them, so you remember the details. And of course, you'd want to share those memories with your friends. Memories are kind of the same way. They benefit from that same kind of care and attention.
Okay, I love that. Curating our own mental photo albums. But here's the thing. If our internal DJ is kind of stuck playing all those gloomy greatest hits on repeat, how do we actually convince it to change the tune?
Well, becoming aware of those patterns is a great place to start. You've already started doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
You're noticing what your internal DJ seems to gravitate toward, which is a huge first step.
So what's next? What do we do with that information?
This week, try paying a little extra attention to those memories when they pop up. Ask yourself, what triggered this memory? Is it connected to something that's going on in my life right now? How does it make me feel when I think about it? Things like that.
So, like, if I'm constantly replaying memories of messing up at work or something, that could be a sign that I'm feeling kind of anxious or insecure about my job right now.
Exactly. Our memories aren't just echoes of the past. They can actually give us some really valuable insight into what's going on in our lives right now.
Wow.
By tuning into those echoes, we can learn a lot about our current emotional state.
That's amazing. So it's not just about understanding why our brains dig up these memories. It's about using them to help us grow and make positive changes.
Now you're getting it.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. Seriously, it's like our brains are those old cassette players. We've got those worn-out tapes with the songs we've played a million times, but we can always choose to hit record and create something brand new.
And maybe, just maybe, if we consciously choose to focus on those more positive, uplifting tracks, we can actually rewire our internal DJ. We can train it to play a more empowering and harmonious playlist for our lives.
A playlist filled with more best day ever anthems and way fewer, what was I thinking, ballads. I like the sound of that. So much better than that old playlist stuck on repeat.
Me too.
Well, that seems like the perfect note to end on. Taking control of our internal playlists and choosing the soundtrack that helps us live our best lives. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive today. It's been amazing exploring the world of memories with you.